Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be women approaching men. Well, I've got a success story here from a guy who I think he said he's read my book 5 times now. And he's obviously been through the article that I wrote several years ago called How to Get Women to Approach You First. So if you're a barfly and you like going to bars and nightclubs and hanging out with your buddies and you're tired of striking out and not doing very well, this guy did a masterful job of taking what he's learned in my book and in my videos and in the article, How to Get Women to Approach You First. And he went out with his buddies and he did exactly that. He met this really great girl, came up to him at his table, and he watched her all night as other dudes were constantly trying to hit on her and whisper things into her ears, and she'd kind of constantly look over at him and roll her eyes. And it's a great success story, especially for you guys that are like going to bars and nightclubs. When I was younger, every fucking Friday and Saturday night I was out doing those things. I don't do them anymore, but I know a lot of people that they enjoy doing those things socially. So it can be a great way to have a good time and meet women as a side effect of having a great time. So I have a quote that I wrote in this particular topic, and I'm going to go through his email. And so the quote says, "Societal conditioning says that it is the man's job to approach a woman and do all of the work to pick her up at bars and nightclubs. However, the reality is that most men are completely clueless when it comes to approaching, meeting, and picking women up. If you choose to spend just one evening watching men and women interact at a typical bar or nightclub, you would see that the average beautiful woman is approached dozens of times by different guys during the course of an evening, but they all fail. Women know that they have what guys want, but most guys have no idea what they are doing. Smart men who are actually good with women go out and have fun with their friends and let women do the approaching. Meeting women then becomes a side effect of having fun with friends instead of it being the objective. Seduction is much more effective, easy, and effortless when you let women do the choosing so you can gently lead them to the bedroom." Just like the quote that I share in my book, the one from Adam Carolla, where he says, "When a woman likes you, the doors start opening, and really all you have to do is walk through them. But if the doors start closing in your face, you turn around and you walk away." And so when you think about it, if you've ever really gone and sat down in a public place or a bar or a nightclub and just people watched the guys interacting with the different women, trying to hit on women, just see what people are doing, how they're moving, how they're circulating. It's really interesting because if you see a really attractive woman, I mean, it's just constantly, every couple of minutes, she's getting approached by a guy or several guys, and her friends are trying to get rid of the guys as quick as possible. And really, they're just like, somebody rescue me. And then there's this table of these guys, like this guy here and his buddies, are sitting down having a good time. They're not really even paying attention what's going on around them because they're having so much fun by themselves. Completely different vibe than what everybody else is giving off. And when women like a guy, they'll go stand, if you're at a gym working out and a girl likes you, she'll come over and use the machine next to you or sit on a machine that's right in front of you, so you look at each other in hopes that you strike up a conversation. That's usually about as far as women will go. They'll put themselves into your orbit, but like this particular girl actually went a little above and beyond. Not only did she approach this guy, but she engaged him in a conversation. It's really just a great, effortless way where he just basically sat on his ass all night and gave off a certain type of a vibe, body language, and physiology, and it just has an amazing effect. Because you go out, you want to meet somebody if you're single, but trying to meet somebody and walking around and doing laps around the bar is totally counterproductive. You just wear yourself out all night, and you don't really, and at the end of the night, you're upset because you really didn't have much fun with your friends because everybody's looking to meet somebody, and then you failed the whole night. Whereas this way, you go out, you have a great time with your friends, and then women come up to you. Pretty fucking easy. So it's a win-win. It's a much better experience. If you think about it, women that are constantly getting hit on by guys, they got tons of choice. They know they can say, hey, let's get out here and go back to my place and have sex, and the guy will be like, hey, check please, let's go. so women have all the power in those kinds of environments, and so they have lots of choice. And so when they have too much choice, that's why it's so counterproductive to just be running after people in those circumstances. It's a weak kind of physiology anyways, because you're chasing something. If you're abundant and you have a lot of something, if you have plenty of women and plenty of options in your life that you can date, there's no reason to get off your ass and go do laps around a bar, because you already got more women in your life than you know what to do with. So what are you going to focus on? You're going to focus on hanging out with your buddies and catching up and seeing what everybody's been up to. But when you're in a scarcity mindset, you're running around, you're hunting, you got to find somebody. That's a statement to the universe that you are lacking something. So if you act abundant and you create that air abundance around you and your friends, women, it's just amazing. It's just like a fucking light switch, how it works. You don't believe me? Read the article, How to Get Women to Approach You First, and watch the video that I did on body language that attracts women, and go out and do that next time you go out with your buddies. And you'd be amazed at how well it works and what a much better experience it's going to be for you. So let's go through his email. He says, "Hey Corey, thank you for all you do. You shed light on some of the most foreign concepts to men and help us solve perplexing mysteries of attracting women and in developing fulfilling relationships. I've read your book 5 times thus far, and it's undoubtedly having a positive effect on me." Well, one of the things I got to point out is like he's already read it 5 times. So he's basically about a third to almost a half of the way through the 10 to 15 times that I recommend. And you'll notice, that's why I always say read it 10 to 15 times. The guys that do the best, this is what they do. They read the book over and over. They're just like, tell me what to do. And they do it. And that's why they get the results. I get emails. I was just looking at some of the emails because they come in all day long. Just constant stream. "Oh, I've been watching your channel for 6 months. I've been watching your channel for a year. But I haven't got around to getting your book yet. And there's this girl and I just can't figure her out." It's like, why waste my time even handling those? If the guy's not willing to take the time to learn the basic fundamentals, I look at that and say, that person is not really serious. It's like somebody that says, I need to lose 100 pounds, and they go join a gym, but yet they never find the time to go work out or change their diet. He says, like you mentioned in your book, I believe it's crucial to move at your own pace and celebrate the little victories along the way when learning these principles. Yeah, life is really like a game of golf. I mean, you're really just playing against yourself. And what you do or what you fail to do determines where you end up in the future. It really is all about the journey rather than the destination. What's interesting about that is that you look at people like the guys that went to the moon. It's like, can you imagine the 1960s doing late 1960s, 69, early 70s when the moon program was going on? It's like, how do you fucking top that? Oh, I went to the moon. Well, what are you going to do next? Go to Mars? Or, I mean, that's pretty fucking... You break the sound barrier. It's like, what comes after that? Light speed? I mean, you know, so people that achieve... There's a lot of people... I've had this experience in my life when I was younger. When I achieved the level of success that I achieved back when I was in the real estate and the mortgage industry in the late 90s, it's like, is this it? Is this all there is? And really, it's about learning to enjoy the journey of your life. Because it's like guys that win the Super Bowl. Great, you win the Super Bowl, everybody passes the trophy around, then you go back and you take showers, and then what comes after that? You're not playing a game anymore, the season's over at that point. You're hanging out, you're having parties, and you don't even get your Super Bowl ring, until the next year, and a lot of those guys aren't even going to be on the same team because they get traded or they get released or they get cut. And that's just the way it is. So when you think about it, it's like, you look at a professional athlete. You play football the whole year. Just to get to there, you win one game, and then, all right, great. You go to a bunch of parties, and a week later, it's back to the grind. The idea is if you're not enjoying the whole season, if you're not enjoying the games, if you're not enjoying working out, if you're not enjoying practicing, if you're not enjoying the film, if you're not enjoying the strategy part of it, you're not going to be very fulfilled. You're not going to enjoy it very much. So the idea is to try to enjoy as much of your life as you can by focusing on what you have to be grateful for. And like in this is a little victory for this guy, and It's the kind of thing that builds your confidence. It makes you more certain and more sure of yourself. And the more you're sure of yourself, the more competent you become. The more competent you become, guess what? The more confidence you have. And the more confidence you have, what does that do? It makes you even more attractive to women. He says, I just wanted to share with you a classic and simple example of how your techniques are almost effortlessly effective. I went out to the bar with some buddies last night, and a few of which are always so adamant about hitting on girls at the bars. This mindset is truly counterproductive. Yeah, the average guy doesn't know any better. He wants to just walk around a bar and do laps and try to talk to as many people as possible, even though nobody really wants them around. Because there's tons of drunk guys that don't know what they're fucking doing, walking up and having bad experiences and giving women bad experiences. That's why it's so refreshing. Why you can be like, you and your buddies can be a fucking beacon of light, a beacon of joy, a beacon of fun wherever you go. And they'll all approach you because they're trying to get away from all the guys that are throwing their dicks in their face, basically. Success with women is a byproduct of a man's self-confidence and his ability to love life. I haven't immersed myself in the nightlife scene much this summer because I've been busy with work and other obligations, but I was anxious to apply some of your basic tips when I had the chance last night. Instead of running laps around the bar, chasing women around like a thirsty dog, as some of my friends tend to do, and who are obviously not being very successful at it, I posted up with some buddies at a table and was just hanging out and having a great time. It's textbook, exactly what I teach in the article, How to Get Women to Approach You First. He says, I made a special effort to keep the buddies I was with engaged in conversation to avoid any of us just staring around the bar, checking out girls. Again, doing that's a scarcity mindset. If you don't have enough women in your life, you're just... Can you imagine a group of 6 or 7 dudes sitting at a table, they're not talking, they don't look like they're having fun, and they're just looking at all the women walking by. Do you think any women are going to approach those guys? No. But if they're having a really good time together, and they're not really paying much attention to what's going on around them because they're having so much fun together, it's a different vibe. It gives off a fun vibe. It's like the captain of the football team. He's holding court with all of his buddies. And therefore, everybody wants to hang out. I mean, think about it. What if Tom Brady walked into a bar with his beautiful wife and sat down with some of his friends? Everybody would be going, hey, Tom Brady. And they want to shake his hand, get his autograph, things of that nature. And you can give off that same kind of vibe even if you're not as successful as Tom Brady. But when you have more, it's like when you're successful and you don't need money, everybody wants to lend you money. But when you're broke and you need cash, nobody wants to give you a loan. It's the same kind of mindset. He says, I was engaged in conversation. He said, I made a special effort to keep the buddies I was with engaged in conversation to avoid any of us just staring around the bar, checking out girls, which is incredibly common with guys anywhere you go. I mean, it's really fun to go out and just people watch and see what people do, especially in these kinds of environments. Just a small gesture led to the ladies in our vicinity becoming curious about us because they're completely different. Every other dude's running around throwing their dicks in their face, but here's this group of guys that's really not paying them much attention. One girl, just gorgeous brunette, walked by and simply asked where I was from. That's her opener. Hey, where are you from? I started messing with her and just asked why. Are you conducting a census? She chuckled and asked, what high school did you attend? Now, these are pretty personal questions. What does this tell you? I mean, attraction is not a choice. He's just sitting there minding his business. He's giving off the right vibe, an abundance vibe. And so she feels safe and comfortable enough to approach him because she's got all these horny guys that are clueless throwing their dicks in her face all night long. And she sees a guy, she finds him attractive, and because of the vibe that he's giving off, she obviously likes him. And so what's she doing? Right away, asking him personal questions. This is going to make anybody, man or woman, feel like, wow, they really care about me. So it's obvious she's interested in him. I just came back with, I didn't. I succeeded so much in middle school that they just gave me a high school diploma. just responding to her questions with outrageous and playful humor. He's just saying things that are just kind of ridiculous and silly, but that's the whole point. It's not to be serious about it. It's to have fun and to make her laugh and make her smile, which makes her feel more comfortable, because whatever you make a woman feel when she's with you is what she's going to associate with being with you. I know I'm a funny dude, but she was laughing at my jokes like I was a second coming of Will Ferrell. Remember, women help you when they like you. When they really like you, no matter what you say, they're going to think it's funny. Because they like you, because they're into you. I mean, how hard is that? It's not hard at all. It was crowded and loud, and our groups of friends were standing near each other. She told me that she was from far away, out of town, and was just here visiting a friend from college. So she was probably looking to hopefully hook up on her trip. Because of that, I didn't ask for her phone number or anything. I was simply just nonchalant about the exchange. And after we went back and forth for a minute or two, I said, "Hey, I'm going to get back to my buddies. Enjoy your time with your friends." Because think about it from this perspective. If you'd like to have a girlfriend or somebody to date, and then you meet a girl and you find out she's from out of town and she's only there for a couple of days, I mean, yeah, you could hook up with her, but at the end of the day, if your goal is you'd like to find somebody that you can date and have a relationship with, you're not really going to want to get involved with somebody that's long distance. So you figure you'll wait until somebody comes along who does live in your area. I left her in suspense and wanting more. As the night went on, her and her friends were moving throughout the bar, and I witnessed at least 5 dudes approach this girl, coming on way too strong and whispering in her ear, just the epitome of weak behavior. Her and her friends were active the entire time, walking around. Why are they walking around? Because they want to meet people. They want to meet guys. There's lots of clueless ones out there, obviously. While I was just hanging at my table, taking up too much space, keeping a smile on my face, and shooting the shit with my buddies. Every time she'd walk near us, I could tell she was staring me down. She was checking out her prey. Eventually, she was near me and some guy was hitting on her. She was staring at me the whole time with a huge smile and just shaking her head as if to communicate, "I hope this clown hitting on me walks away." When the guy finally got the hint, the girl walked closer to me and smiled. I smiled back and waved her over to me. She shook her head laughing and waved me over to her. Now think about that. He's the king sitting on his throne. He's the king of his kingdom. And a woman's like, "Hey, why don't you come over here?" Do you think the king's going to get off his fucking ass? Of course not. But he's playful with her. He says, I held my ground and simply shrugged with a smirk on my face and proceeded to continue hanging with my friends. My buddies and I left our table for a few minutes to go order drinks. While I was at the bar, the girl approached me and asked, "Why didn't you come over when I waved for you to?" Now keep in mind, this is a girl who's got guys approaching her all night long, but yet the guy who's sitting over the table, having fun with his buddies, he's friendly, he's nice, but he's not going out of his way to talk to her. Remember, it's a scientific fact that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. I mean, look at the effect that this is having on her. She said, "You're the guy. You're supposed to approach me," with a huge smile on her face. Almost as if she's saying, "Well, I know that's not really true." I responded with, "I gave you a gentlemanly, cordial invite to join me and put the offer out there. My buddies and I have prime real estate over there. I'm not going to give that up." Great fucking response. She was loving me. We went back and forth for a few minutes. Then her friends wanted to leave. Instead of following them out, she stayed back for a couple of minutes. Women vote with their feet. If they're with you, it means they voted for you. Always look at what people do. Do you think this girl's into this guy? Now, do you think he would have been successful if he'd have seen her and gone up to her and chased her like a thirsty dude was when she's getting approached all night? Besides, it's like, why? It was like, where's the risk in this? Guys don't have to risk anything. I mean, at the end of the day, the reality is women do the choosing anyway, so facilitate. It's just like I talk about in the online, if you're into online dating, the article I did several years ago called How to Get Women, or the Ultimate Online Dating Profile. It's the same philosophy. You put out there, hey, this is what I'm looking for. If this is you, shoot me a message. Maybe we'll chat. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the same thing online. Women get absolutely fucking bombarded with texts and with messages and emails from guys. And bottom line is, women are going to choose who they want. So facilitate that. Make it easy for them. Why go through all that rejection when you can just sit on your ass and they'll come to you? She was asking me how old I was and what I did and joked around that eyes are the window to the soul. I then told her, well, you know what would enhance your vision? He said, giving me a kiss. That's pretty fucking good. She smiled and leaned in, and I got a good juicy one right on the lips. You know, some people that go, oh, you shouldn't kiss a girl on the first day. It's like, really? It's like they just met, and they're kissing. It's like when I see comments like that, or I see emails. It's just whatever, dude. Okay, you want to keep struggling, keep doing what you're doing. He says her friends had walked out at that point, so she asked me if I'd walk her out. Notice how she's kind of isolating him from his friends, so she can really attack him. And her friends are out of the way, so she doesn't feel uncomfortable. I agreed, and once we left the bar area into the hallway near the exit, she was all over me, making out with me and grabbing me. So I talk about the process of seduction. It's like he's gotten away from the cockblockers, potentially. You notice how more forward she is when she's away from her friends and away from his friends. The idea with seduction is to isolate one where it's just you and her. If the girl's in a group, go sit at a table and chat and get into what you're doing. If she really likes you, she's going to let her friends walk out the door and hang out with you. That's how it works. He says, I told her that we'll continue this tomorrow night, which is tonight. She then said, well, you're going to need my number then. She's even volunteering, hey, here's my number. I opened a new contact in my phone and I handed it to her. And she also added herself on my Snapchat. Haha. She wants to be extra sure she's got 2 ways of getting in touch with you. Again, she's really into you. I texted her my first name, and she gave me one more kiss and left the bar. My buddies were mesmerized by this feat. This is the kind of thing that every guy would love to be able to do this. And you know what? Every guy can, if you apply the things that are in my book. I literally just focused on having a great time, and the opportunity fell right in my lap. And you can do this every fucking weekend that you go out. And especially if you're if you're a barfly and you just had a breakup and you're trying to get over it, you go out and you do this. It's like, that really helps you with your grief therapy. You're not going to feel like you're missing out on much for long. He says the girl had dudes rigorously pursuing her all night while I was calm, cool, and confident, and she could tell I was indifferent about it. She did 90% of the talking in our conversation, and all I did was interject with comical remarks. I mean, it's textbook, dude. This is what happens when you read this guy. Just 5 times he's read it. Look how well he's doing. And look how much effort he puts into this. Like, hardly any. He says, my experience last night encompassed so many of the tips that you emphasize, and it just goes to show that when you apply yourself to understand the fundamentals, the good results are inevitable. I'm becoming more and more of an advocate of your teachings every day. Thanks again. Peace. Great email, great success story. Again, just another one of the many that I read from time to time where you just apply the things I teach, you'll get great results and get what you're looking for. If you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen on any page on my website, and just follow the instructions for whichever option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.